welcome. It's Tracey Campbell here. I am doing my very last design team post for Confessions of a Paper Addict today, and I'm going to be sharing with you a layout I've done, which is using two of the cut files, one from the April cut file release called Swan Princess, and another one that's from last year's cut files, and it's called Feathers and Flowers. Both are very nice, and I had to team the feathers and flowers with the Swan Princess because it had a feather in it, of course. So, and you can't have too many flowers, but I think with the feather in it, it just was very appropriate, and they work really well together. I'm going to use something a little special for my swan. I've got this holographic piece of plastic that's actually backing from a pair of scissors that I got. I got the scissors in the packet, and I took the front cover off, which was just plastic, and it had this holographic plastic, and I just love the shimmer, the shine, the colour that's in it, the rainbows. So I thought it would be a really good choice for the Swan Princess because every swan deserves to be special. So what I've done is just trace the inside of the cut file, and I'm just using a pair of scissors that are very difficult to use, but I love them. They're so sharp and pointy, and they don't have the little parts for your hands. It's just to hold on to it. So with my arthritis, I'm getting my fingers. It works really well. Anyway, I leave about a millimetre, 2 millimetres around the pencil mark, or in this case, I actually used a fine texture so I could see it because the pencil wouldn't mark on it. And I'm just going to stick it down. I have cut both cut files in a white cardstock, and the cut files cut really well. And you saw me at the start of the video just pulling the cut files off the Cameo mat. Lost for words today. And there I go, just sticking it down. I have used a stickier, tackier glue, so it does get a little bit messy and get a bit everywhere, and this Tombow glue doesn't actually dry as well as what I think it should. It always remains a little bit tacky, so I do end up getting a bit stuck to it every now and then. I'm just trimming it up, and I love how it's turned out. I love how when you move it you can see the rainbow colour effect going everywhere. And now I'm just deciding what I'm going to do, and of course because the wing is so big I think it would be perfect for a shaker box. So I'm just cutting out some vellum, and I will cut it out twice, the vellum, so I've got one for the front and one for the back, so I can put sequins or glitter into the wing and give it a lovely different texture and look to it. It's quite easy. Just trace the inside with a pencil on the vellum and use a soft gentle rubber, and it will rub off, so you can't see the pencil lines on the vellum. But you just have to do it very gently, and don't run back and forwards. Tend to just rub in one way and go from the inside to the outside, because if you rub back, and it's easy to tear the vellum if it goes from the edge in, if that makes sense. Sometimes it just gets a bit stuck. Here I am cutting the second one out. Just quite easy. Draw on the inside, trim on the outside, leaving 1 to 2 millimetres. Just trimming it up. I have loved my time on Confessions of a Paper Addict, and I'm a little bit sad to be going, but you know, we all have to move on. We all have to go on to new things, and hopefully I might come back one day, which would be great, because I must admit I love the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files. They are very well done. Virginia just designs them so wonderfully, and each month she knocks it out of the ballpark. The themes just tend to go with all my photos, so I can't get enough of them. So I will be around. I will be getting more. I'm just not going to be displaying them as part of the design team anymore. There is a huge National Scrapbooking Day May Confessions of a Paper Addict challenges and whatnot coming up, so make sure you pop in on the 1st of May and see what's going to be around and what challenges there are. It should be a super exciting event, so pop onto the Facebook page and have a look. So I decide that my little swan princess needs a gold crown. So I've used a embossing powder, bling it's called, from Colour Blast by Beati, and I've just used the embossing ink on it. I did mask it a little bit so it didn't go onto her head, and just, sorry, I just paused the sound a bit there. My dog started barking because someone came to the front door. Okay, right, so yes, I embossed the crown with gold embossing bling, and now I'm deciding what backing page I'm going to use. I can't decide that between the little black hearts and this rainbow, so I'm just looking at it, moving things around, and just by chance I happen to lay the rainbow over the top with the small black hearts and decide that I like it off-centered like that. So I'm going to have a bit of a play here. I'm going to see if I can do an offset layout, so the rainbow on top of the black hearts. I do like how it looks, but I decide that I need some of those black hearts to be able to back the mat the photo with. So I've cut the centre out so I can see what it looks like, and so I can use that excess for a photo mat. So yeah, so I think it works really well. Something a little bit different. I haven't quite done that before, but when I put the rainbow on top of the paper, I just liked how it looked and thought, why not? Let's give it a go and see what it turns out like. And that's the good thing about scrapbooking. You can do that. You can have a play with your paper, and if you like something, just go for it, because it is only paper. So give it a go. Okay, right, so I've rifled through all my scraps and I've pulled out very similar colours to what was in that rainbow paper. I have found this one piece of pattern paper that I'm using that I want for the feathers. It's kind of in a chevron pattern, but I've only got this one strip of it, so I need to be very careful with how I'm doing it. And there's only 2 feathers, and the chevron where they meet in the middle runs right down the centre of this bit of paper. So I drew down the centre, marked it out so that the chevron points in the middle will meet and run like it would for a feather. You know how feathers run and join in the vein in the middle, and they kind of are in a V shape or U shape. Oh, kind of with the vein running down the middle and all the feather bits pointing in on the quill. So that's what I've tried to do with this pattern paper, make it look like that, and it's got the perfect colours in it to complement the rainbow. They're kind of muted, dulled down colours, not bright, vibrant. They're quite really soft, gentle colours, perfect for a baby photo, which I'm using. Photo of my daughter Bronte when she was about 2.5, giving Paige a little bit of a kiss on the side of the head when she was just a newborn. So I love this photo of them. Trying to decide now what colours I'm going to do the flowers in the die cut, in the cutouts. Of course I'm going to go with pink. I am looking at that rose pattern paper and thinking I should use some of that, but I don't end up doing it. I do like them, but I put them aside and went with just using my coloured scraps that I pulled that complement the rainbow. So used pink and yellow and a bit of orange. Now, I didn't actually have that much orange, so you'll see later I have this, what are they called? It's a Project Life card, and it's got the right perfect yellowy orange in it, and so I actually use it. You can actually see it over on the left of the screen there. I cut out the centre of that and used that for one of the flowers, or 2 of the flowers. It was just the perfect colour. So I can just keep playing, keep referring back to my original layout where the rainbow is and the photo, and looking at the colours and making sure that what I'm doing in the Cutfiles is complementing the colour of the rainbow. I'm pretty happy with how it turns out, and I do love it. It was a bit of a challenge trying to stick to the colours and work out what was what. But it has turned out nicely, I think. So here is this card I was telling you about. So I'm just cutting out the centre. I figured that I might even be able to use that saying a little bit later on the layout. But once again, no. So I do save it, and I've popped it away into a little container where I've got other sayings and things. So it'll probably come out and turn up on another layout sometime down the track. But that's the good thing about scrapbooking, you know, don't throw anything away, keep it all, it will come in handy. Yes, I'm a bit of a hoarder, and I've got lots of paper and lots of scraps. I don't throw out my bigger scraps, I keep them and use them, and they are perfect for backing any of these cut files. As you can see, just trimming out drawing in the centre, trimming out the paper and applying them onto the flowers. I do cut out a bit of this in my editing, so you don't need to see me back all the flowers and all the leaves and things. And when I am doing the cut files, I do make sure that I do the fiddly bits, the smaller bits, so work from the centre out. So that way I can do a tiny little centre and the next bit, and then if I want to, the bigger bit over that goes over the top. So it backs everything. So does that make sense? You kind of build up your layers is what I'm saying. You start with the smaller parts because the bigger ones you can put over the top if the smaller one's covering the cutout already. As you saw, I just did the little bit in the middle here. It goes in there, and then the medium center, and now the bigger file. So that's what I mean by building up layers. So I didn't cut it all out, didn't fussy cut it all out, I just built it up. Now I'm just working on the flowers for the Swan Princess. I have stopped working on the wing on the shaker because I decided that the leaves were a bit fiddly down the bottom, and it would be easier to have everything backed first and all the colour in before I got to doing the shaker wing. Just working it out, looking at the flowers from the feathers and flowers cut file, just making sure I'm complementing and balancing the flowers. So the bigger pink flower is the same as the bigger rose in the flowers and feathers cut file, and that one of the flowers on either side of the Swan Princess takes on the same colours as a flower in the feathers and flowers cut file. So just balancing them out. And I do go ahead and I use a teal green colour for the leaves, and I've just done that. You've just edited it out, so you didn't quite see that. But all the leaves are now done with a tealy green because there was a tealy green in the rainbow. So I went with that. Now I'm just using a double-sided sticky tape. I'm using a double-sided dimensional tape to give a bit of height to the cut file, so around the wing. It's a little bit fussy because the wing has all these bumps in it. It's not quite smooth, but this double-sided dimensional tape is quite sticky, and it just doesn't want to come off my fingers at times, so it is quite good at sticking to the paper as well. And just moving it all around, edging the cut file and making it join up. Now if you don't join up the double-sided sticky tape, the double dimensional tape very well, if you put glitter in there, it will find a hole and it will go everywhere. Learn from my experience. Make sure that it all joins up and all meets and you don't have any gaps in your dimensional tape. If you're using the bigger sequence, that's okay because they can't sneak through if you don't leave the gaps too big, but try not to leave the gaps because it all tends to find a way to get out and escape. So you're just taking off the backing off the dimensional tape, making sure it's all stuck down, using my scissors point to move it around. So I'm going with these cocoa vanilla sequins that I picked up today. They're just the perfect little colours to complement. And I was being a bit fussy in deciding that I was going to just put the sequins and some flowers in there, but there's leaf ones as well. And some of the flowers were really quite translucent, so you could see through them. So I did check it, put it on the wing, that vellum wing, and check it, make sure I could see through. And just sticking the other side of the wing down. And you could probably use pattern paper instead of vellum on the other side, but I just stuck with the vellum. And it's all secured. And I must admit, I do like how it has come about. And I've worked out the placement, which is that. I just think at this stage that it needs something. So I'm going to add the little extra bits to the cut file that haven't been on. So the Swan Princess's eyelashes and the rest of her feathers. And just using a tacky white glue. Sorry, cat, you're out of the way. Come on, off the table. Good girl. She's my daughter's cat, and for some reason she's become quite clucky with me as my daughter hits the teenage years and is going out a little bit more. So I think she's a little bit lonely. So she comes and does a bit of scrapbooking every now and then. Anywho, back on securing the photo down on a little bit of an angle and working out what I need to do with my Swan Princess's crown. So instead of filling it in with a solid colour, I go with the vellum. So you could actually see it was going up against the pink in the rainbow, and you could see pink, half white, and it didn't look quite right. So a little bit of the vellum and rubbing off the pencil marks, sticky glue, and on it goes. So some double-sided dimensional squares are going on, or rectangles, just to give it a bit of height to catch up with the same height of the wing. Pulling the back off. And I've decided now that I think it needs a little bit of texture in there. So I've just got some gauze, and I'm just moving it and spreading it out as much as I can to create texture. And I'm going to put it behind both the Swan Princess and the Flower and Feather cut files, and just having it play, making it move around and stretching it out across the page. Just gives a little bit of extra interest to the page and a bit of texture, a bit of a layering look. I do like how it's gone on there, and so I'm just going to pop a bit of double-sided tape down to secure it down, and move the texture, the gauze around, and add a little bit more. And I'm going to use a bit of tape again to make the feathers in the cut file stand up a little bit more. So I've made the flowers flat, but I want the feathers to stand up a little bit out of off the page. Working out where the gauze is going to go behind the Swan Princess. I like where it is. I'm just tucking it up, making it all nice and neat. A little bit of glue just to make sure it sticks. And that is the positioning for the cut files. I do like it off-centered, the paper off-centered, how I've done it, and how I've used the same backing for the paper as the backing for the matting as well. Adding a few little touch embellishments, so a couple of little puffy material hearts, and I do add a few little flowers as well. It's just a soft page, really delicate, really pretty for baby photos. I do like how it's come about. What I'm doing right now is the flowers come with a green paper stem, so they're paper flowers, little roses, and they come with a wire stem. And I'm just wrapping it around the stick of a brush, the brush handle, a thin brush handle, and I'm making it curly, the stem's curly. It just gives a little bit of interest instead of having this stick coming out from your flowers. It's now looks like a little bit of a twirly vine. So So it just gives it a little bit of a delicate look. I'm just using some 3-dimensional glossy accents to stick it down. I found that that does work really well for sticking flowers. And I found this little title in my stash. They're so old, they're Kaisercraft or Kaisercraft gem words that I've had in my stash for years. I've got cherish and adore, so I decided to go with cherish, and I'm just getting a stronger glue to stick them down. Now, glue's actually made them quite slippery, so while I'm doing this, you'll be able to see me using kind of moving the letters, and as I'm trying to stick the next one down, the letter I just stuck moves, and yeah, it was quite fun until the glue dried. But once the glue did dry, they are well and truly stuck there. But it was a bit of a task trying to do it, and they're so small and fiddly. I think I need to buy myself a pair of tweezers to scrapbook with when I'm using these little bits. I'm just trying to line them up. As you can see, they keep moving and going back and just straightening them up. So a little bit of bling. I added a little bit of the bling just because it's just so pretty. I just thought the Swan Princess was just calling out for some really pretty, to be really pretty, to be beautiful. So I just kept adding. So the cherish has got the bling in it. Now I'm just adding a few of these diamante strips and separating them individually, and I'm putting the diamantes on the bottom of the crown and on the circle part of the crown at the top as well. So she's got some beautiful jewels, and these diamantes, they're not clear, they're actually translucent. No, they're holographic, just like the holographic paper is. And there, I think I've actually finished. I am thinking if I'm going to journal, but I decide I'm not going to. It speaks volumes by itself, what's happening. I'm just bringing it up, giving you a bit of a close-up. You can see the beautiful colours in that holographic paper or plastic. And that's just a scrap that I kept. So do keep your scraps. You can use them on your layouts. Just adds extra interest, and yeah, it's just something a little bit different. So there we are, my very final layout for Confessions of a Paper Addict. I do hope that I have brought you some inspiration, that you've liked my creations. I have really enjoyed working for Virginia, and thank you for having me. Thank you for popping by and enjoying my layouts. And I will see you in the wide world of scrapbooking out there. Take care. Bye.